Previously, on the Frontier Farmer, we've been travelling around in the wilderness and wound up in the dark forest. And we are going to be setting up a lovely home and a farm for us to live off the land. But supposedly there's some stuff here that we can make use of. Oh, that's handy. Aha! An old chainsaw. But look at this. It's a tractor. We are going to need some fuel. Aha, here we go. First job we're really going to have to do on the dark forest is carve a path. So I'll start by cutting down this tree here. Managed to pull this tree out of here. We've got quite a few trees to cut down to clear a path. Last tree dropped off, and there we are. A log cabin is constructed. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Frontier Farmer at the Dark Forest. Woken up this morning and we've got a few jobs that we need to be cracking on with. Between last session, have put a pathway in that joins up to our pathway that we created through the forest to the abandoned logging and distribution centre. So I've got a couple of stumps that I need to clear first of all. And I've been looking at some stump grinders, but unfortunately it seems like we're not going to find one that is going to suit the tractor we have. We don't have enough horsepower, and also there's not one that's really fitting the build in terms of vintage equipment. So yeah, we are just going to have to clear them out by using the trusty old chainsaw and chopping them out of the way. But that pretty much is our forestry track all sorted now up until our little homestead cabin up here. And yes, just cuts the corner off here because it's a little bit jagged going down to our pioneer's tent, which we're actually going to keep, by the way. This is going to be our little camp out area in front of the lake, which is very nice. But yep, up to the cabin, and we have a few logs from chopping down the extra trees that we need to take care of first thing this morning. So I'm going to get them lashed up and taken to the place where we can sell logs at the logging centre. So let's get these two, which we chopped down last time to make space for our log cabin, and then we'll pick up the two that I had to chop down to make a little cut through path. There we go, that's those two lashed up. So we can get this third one lashed up. Hopefully the tractor's going to be able to pull all three. And a fourth. I really do wonder if the tractor's going to pull it, but it's giving it a good go. Might be slow going, but we can get all four logs to the logging and distribution centre. So our frequent use of this track has meant that it has widened somewhat, which is nice, and we've got a lovely forestry track here now, which is good. Today's plans are going to all focus around self-sufficiency, because we are obviously living off the land. We need a few things that are going to help us live. So we need to clear some space to make some sort of food gathering opportunity. So I've got plans to place a beehive and also an open garden so we can grow some produce. And whatever spare produce we have, we will of course sell. But yep, we will be clearing some space for that. And I'm also hoping that we can clear some space to make preparations for our first field. Yeah, first of all we need to get these logs sold, so let's see to that. Right, here we go, so we can detach these logs and we will chop them up somewhat down to 6 meters so we can then sell them. Alright, so let's get them processing and sell them. Oh, okay, 8,316, not bad from 3 logs. So let's head on back and we can get on with clearing a space for what we need to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. It's rather nice meandering through these forest tracks that we're creating for ourselves. And here's our nice little cut through to the left that takes us up to the log cabin. And we are back, so let's just park up the farm and we can get to clearing a suitable space that we need in order to get some placeables in. So looking at the terrain, I'm going to be leaving the trees that are closest to the lake in place, just so they act as a bit of a barrier to us and the water. I am going to be clearing off some of these trees around the side of the log cabin and also around this area at the back, because it's nice and clear already, so this is going to be perfect for us to place a little allotment for us to grow some food and some produce and place our beehive. And then down here I think is where we are going to look to create a field. So yeah, a lot of these trees really need to go, so I'm going to be getting my chainsaw out and be getting trigger happy and cutting down all of these trees. I'll be leaving a good amount of stump so we can see where we need to clear stumps. Yep, that's the first job, cutting down the trees, and then we can get them ready for transporting. There we are, we have carved a rectangular shape into the dark forest, and that's going to leave a bit of space for us to put some living placeables, and also a space for us to create a small but yeah, our first field, which we are going to have to sort of mow up and then get onto ploughing if we get time. But the first job is this unwieldy task of dragging all of the timber out of here. So yeah, we've got all of these logs and stumps that we need to clear. So I'm going to need to jump in the farm all, and what I'll do is I'll probably drag all the logs into this channel here, if there's space, and then we can catch on with taking them to the log and distribution centre for sale. So yeah, we've got plenty of logs to take there, and it's going to take me probably quite a large amount of time. You can see the sort of scale of the space we have cleared, and to be fair, in terms of the size of how big the dark forest is, that's only a drop in the ocean, because the forest is pretty huge. So at some point we are going to need to upgrade our means of chopping down logs and trees, because yeah, chainsaw and just dragging them out is quite a long and manually intensive task, so we need something that's going to make it a bit more efficient. Yeah, I'm going to get busy with pulling all the logs out of there, and then once we've got a bit of structure we can start to take some to the logging and distribution centre. Oh, I think finally we may have cleared a space for us to have our first field. And of course it's taken a lot longer than I anticipated. Clearing just this small rectangular section has taken a large degree of time, and probably can spot a couple of trees that I do want to cut down as well, like that one, just so it's looking a bit more square. But yeah, we've got a unevenly shaped rectangle now to start placing some of our placeables and also to create our field. I don't think we're going to get around to creating the field today. I've spotted an additional log here. We can't forget about this one. Yeah, we're not going to get enough time probably to create the field because we have to mow the area. We want to make use of the grass, and I'm going to probably look to convert that grass into hay because hay is more valuable than grass, and we'll look to sell that. So I'm going to need to purchase a mower and a tedder and a windrower and some means of collecting up the hay. So yeah, we've obviously dragged on, quite literally, a bit longer than anticipated, but we have quite a nice pile of logs behind the log cabin, and yeah, I've not been taking these to for sale because I think that we are going to need to make a purchase to increase our efficiency with log work and taking it and transporting it. So yeah, our actual logging operation and the logistics of carting logs, I have a couple of ideas on how we can improve the efficiency of that, and I'm thinking something to load the logs and of course a trailer to hold the logs. But for now, that pile of cut down trees can sit behind the log cabin because we don't really need that space so much. But yeah, that's fantastic. So at some point we are going to have to get a mower, mow down all of this brush and grass, and then we'll look to convert that into hay and take that for sale. And after we've done that, we can plough up and create our first field. Now I have a pile of logs just down on the track here. I have to be careful because some of the logs are quite big and are protruding over the pathway. I'll have to trim them down. But yeah, we have a pile of logs over this way, and I'm probably going to take those for sale at some point. Some are smaller logs, and yeah, there's a couple of the really big chunky and long logs, so should get another fair few thousand off of those. But yeah, you will have noticed that I put dual wheels on the front of the farm. We converted it from the sort of tricycle, it's called, where there's just one wheel at the front at the centre, and we've now got two, just to see if that would help with the traction and steering of the tractor when it's pulling heavy logs, and it did help somewhat, so that's pretty good. Right, okay, so we've cleared a space, and now we are going to place some of the placeables that we need to make us self-sufficient. Now, of course, one of the things we are going to need is a well to source water for our garden or whatever it may be. So I think I'm going to place this somewhere near our shack so we can come and get water when we need it. There we go, that should be good enough for us. And the next thing I'm going to place is this hunting pulpit, which costs $1,200, but that brings us in $720 per day. And that is because we are going to be able to observe the landscape, the lake and the surrounding forest for things such as forest fires, wilderness and wildlife. So yeah, we managed to get some income from this, and that's going to help us and help the local forest conservation people. So yeah, that's placed, and that's going to bring us in $720 per day. So that's just going to guarantee that with the maintenance costs and things that we're not going to go bankrupt. Now, to help us live off the land, we are going to place this open air garden, which is going to allow us to grow certain produce. As you can see, we can grow sunflowers, potatoes, lettuce, tomato, soybean, strawberries, beets, cotton and corn. But yeah, we are probably just going to produce potatoes because that's the most versatile root crop that we can grow in order to feed us, and also if there's any excess we can sell it. So I think we'll just place that around. There we go. That's that placed. Now we are also going to place a beehive, which is going to help with our nearby garden in terms of pollination, and it's also going to produce some honey for us to eat. So we will get that placed near a tree just so they've got a little bit of shelter. And then we can hear the bees already. And then we're going to place a honey rack for us getting all the honey bottled up and stacked, which I think we're going to place on this side of our log cabin. Fantastic. And to help us understand the weather, we are going to buy this old weather station that's going to help us understand what the weather is likely to be in the coming days with much better accuracy. There we go. So we have our well, which is retrieving water from the nearby lake. We've got our lookout tower to keep an eye on wilderness and all sorts of other things like forest fires and anything that's going to cause us danger or be a surprise to us. We are of course living in the wilderness, so we need to be careful of bears and so forth. A hive, which is going to be producing us honey on the regular, which is very good, and that hive is also going to help our new garden in terms of pollination. And yet we need to get this filled with some sort of water and also a fertilizer. So let's have a little look at what we need to do there. So this open air garden is very versatile because it allows us to grow certain produce with just a water recipe, or a recipe that adds on seeds and either solid fertilizer or seeds and natural fertilizer manure. And that obviously increases the yield of growth. For now I think we're going to be just using water, but at some point we will hopefully get some solid fertilizer or some manure. So yeah, we need to transport the water from our well to the open garden and set a recipe going. So we're going to need a water tank. So I'm going to jump in the farm, and I think we can actually keep the winch on, but because it has a tow hitch there. If it doesn't, then we'll just leave that down at the dealership. But yeah, let's go and get a water tank, and we can see about filling up our open air garden and get some potatoes growing. Alright, so we're at the distribution centre, and we should be able to put an order in for a water trailer. There we go, so we can buy this old water trailer which has a capacity of 1,000 litres, but yeah, it's only $2,000, so that's pretty good for us, and that is going to suit us just fine to begin with. There she is, a very modest sized water tank. So let's just pull up and get hitched to it. Should be able to latch on to our forestry module. There we go. Excellent. Right, let's head on back to the homestead, the cabin, and we can get some water in our open garden. The amount of times I've been up and down this track today. But this water tank looks fantastic and fits in really well with our frontier farming. Looks pretty homemade, almost looks like it's from the Western. Back at the cabin, and yeah, it's looking a lot different now it's opened up, but I'm trying to keep some of the trees so it doesn't look completely deforested. So let's get our water tank up to the well and see if we can fill it up. There we go, that's full. And then let's head over to the open garden. I'm going to have to clear all this brush out, and we will do that next time when we are able to get a mower. But here we go, we can deposit the water in there. I don't know how much it takes. Okay, seems it takes a lot of water, so I'm going to have to do multiple trips, but at least we can get our potatoes kicked off and activated. So that is going to run 1,536 cycles per month, or day in our case, and that's going to cost $2 per month, or a day in our case, and that's going to convert 1 unit of water into 3 potatoes. So that's pretty efficient, but if we want to crank it up, we can do potatoes and solid fertilizer to make 192, and I think, yeah, manure is about the same. So 24 units of water, 1 unit of seed, plus 5 manure makes 192 potatoes. So we could start producing quite a lot if we need to. But we'll keep it as water for now and upgrade it in the future. There we go, our potato plants are in. So I'm just going to do another lap to get some water into there. Coming round for the second top up. And unloading here. Fantastic. So that's our open air garden set up with what it needs. And we've also got some honeybees starting to make honey, and we've got our lovely rack over here which is going to hold all the honey that's made. I think it makes around 25 litres a day, so not a huge volume, but that's going to be enough to feed us. And of course we've got our water well, our lookout tower and a weather station as well to help us with our living situation. So between now and next time I'm going to take these logs at the front of the cabin over to the logging area to get them sold, and then in time for next time we are going to hopefully get enough money to purchase something which is going to help us manage all of these logs a lot better. We'll probably cut them here and then get them loaded onto something, and then also we need to really start getting this area cleared. So we need to mow it, ted it to make hay, windrow it and then collect it somehow, which we'll do next time. And that's really because we're pressed to make our first field. It would be nice if we could get barley or wheat in here before the end of the season, so we can see about getting some chickens. Yeah, and we will need barley or wheat to feed them. But that is it for today. I hope you have enjoyed watching. If you have, remember to drop a like, and if you've got any tips, tricks or things you'd like me to do, then feel free to leave a comment. Hope to see you again next time on the Frontier Farmer, and until then, catch you later. Cheers all, bye bye.